k on our own, right?
Okay, so we're finishing up the Form G. Remember, you do your Form K on your own. And on 16, we kind of follow the same instructions as before, where it says rewrite it in slope-intercept form. So basically, for the top one, you've got to solve for y. So you get y equal 15 halves plus 4x over 2. And so that's 15 halves plus 2x. You can either leave it in that form, or you can move things around. If you're just moving it around and it's on the same side of the equal sign, don't change it to negative. We're just putting the 2x term first. And so this would be your slope. So 2 is your slope. And then on this one, 6y minus 30 equal 12x. So we first add 30 to both sides, so we get 6y equal 12x plus 30, and then divide by 6. So y is 2x plus 5. And again, slope 2 is 2. Since they match, what does that tell you? Are they parallel or perpendicular? Correct. Parallel. Okay, number 17. Rewrite each equation in slope-intercept form, then determine whether they're perpendicular. So on this first one, you're adding 1 to both sides. So you get y equal negative x. Negative 6 plus 1 is negative 5. So that slope would be negative 1, because you take the number in front of x. On this one, what we have to do is distribute the negative 5, 6 first. So y minus 3 equal negative 5, 6x plus, when you're doing 5, 6 times 5, you're just multiplying your numerator by 5, not your denominator, and you should get 25, 6. Let me show you that on the calculator also. So I'm doing negative 5, 6 times negative 5, and you get positive 25, 6. So 25, 6 goes there. Then from that, we want to add 3 to both sides. And so we take our 25, 6 and we add 3. That gives us 43, 6. So if this is negative 5, 6 and that's negative 1, they're not perpendicular. One would have to be negative 1 and the other positive 1, or one would have to be negative 5, 6 and the other 6/5. So that's not perpendicular. Any questions? Okay, then on this one, add 6 3/4 to both sides. So negative 1/4 is your slope. And on this one, we're dividing by 2 to everything. So y equal 4x plus 9. So this one has a slope of 4. Thank you. And this one has a slope of negative 1/4. They are going to be perpendicular, since negative 1/4 times 4 equal negative 1. Or you could say, since they're opposite reciprocals. Any questions? Okay, on this one we're adding 6 to both. And we're going to want to distribute this negative 5/2. By the way, don't combine those before multiplying. So here we're doing 5/2 times 4. Whoops, I wasn't looking at that. We get 10. If you want to, you can think of it as 4 divided by 2 is 2, and then 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. So then at this step we go 6 minus 10, which is negative 4. So for this one we have negative 5/2 for our slope, which you can see from up here also, except it says rewrite it in slope-intercept form. So make sure y'all are getting these equations also, not just the slopes. Make sure y'all are getting the equations also. And then on this one, we have to divide by 5 first. So y equal 2/5 x plus 6/5. 2/5 is this slope, and negative 5/2 is that slope. So is there a relationship there? 2/5 times negative 5/2. 5's cancel, 2's cancel, so you do get negative 1. And so that is perpendicular. And we'll skip number 20. Oh, are y'all still writing? Sorry. And there's one I'm going to help you figure out on 3/8, and then we'll skip a couple more. Y'all have that? Okay, first, the ones to skip are on the very back. This time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let y'all skip the think about the plan and this one, because we're about to do one just like this, sort of. And then this one, this one we could probably figure out. Let's do the other one first. Okay, so the one I wanted to help y'all with is on Form K, number 10. So if you want to use graph paper for this, you can. It's over on the bookcase, or you could just plot it like I'm going to do. -1, it's here. -3, -1. So that's a horizontal line. So you know that slope's 0. And then y is -2, 4. -2, 4. And this one is 2, 3. Well, since this is 4 and this is not also 4, it's not horizontal like this other one. So we know those are not parallel. And these wouldn't be parallel either. So what I did is I did it by plotting. If you'd rather get the slopes of every single thing, you can. If you wanted to double check, but sometimes that's necessary, but not always. Any questions? Do y'all need me to do one more of those with you? Number 11? Yeah, I'll do 11 too. Okay, so on this one, -1, +1 is here, that's W. 2, 4, 0, that's x. Since it's talking about w, x, y, z, you know that w touches x. They're not across from each other, like x and z are, basically. Because see, x and z are not touching in the name of it, so they won't be touching, you know, as you're drawing it. You usually either do it clockwise or counterclockwise, but we've got our w, we've got our x. Y is 4, 1. And z is 1, negative 2. Okay, those kind of look like they could be parallel. It's not obvious like this other one was obvious to me. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare the slope of wx to the slope of zy. Compare wx to zy. So for the slope of wx, what we do is just get your slope from the new document, list and spreadsheet, x there, y there, negative 1 and 2, and then 1 and 4. Okay, so then we go over here and do menu, statistics, stat calc. Linreg is number 3. That's where you can type x and y, or you could choose it. So you get slope of 1 right there, because m equal 1. So this one, I'm just going to say m1 is 1. Let's figure out zy. So all I have to do is go over here, and I'm going to put positive 1 and 4, and I've got to put negative 2 and 1. And now I get a positive 1 also. So because they match, that means that the slopes are equal, which means the lines are parallel. So that indicates that this is parallel to that. And now let's do wz and xy. So for wz, we go over here, put negative 1 and 1, and for the y values we put 1 and negative 2. So again, doing wz, so w was negative 1, 1, z is 1, negative 2. From there you go over here to like cell D1 and go statistics, the linear regression that has mx plus b in it, so that's number 3. And again, you can type x and y like I did a moment ago, or remember you can choose it. There's choosing x and choosing y. And it says data loss. Let me see what happens. Might overwrite something. Yeah, it overwrote the other one, which is okay. This one gives me negative 1.5 for my slope. And now we need to do xy. So x is 2, y is 4. Okay, I know that sounded weird, but the x value of y is 4, and also the y value of x is 4. So both of these are 4. Hold on, xy. So I've got 2, 4, and I've got 4, 1. Yeah, so just make sure your ordered pairs are right. Then come over here and get negative 1.5 again. So since these match, they are parallel also. So both sets are parallel. Both sets of lines are parallel. So that's number 11. And you do those others the same way. Okay, there was one more I wanted to look at and attempt. That's number 22. Oh, okay. So on 22, it's open-ended. Write the coordinate that can be found on a line perpendicular to this. Here's where 5, 3 is, which is A. And then we got B is 8, 5. So 5, 6, 7, 8. And then this one's B. Okay, so the first thing, if we want something perpendicular, we know it has to have the opposite reciprocal of the slope for this. So let's first get our slope of AB. So let's just use what we did before. Put a 5 here and an 8 there. And put a 3 there and a 5 there. Okay, so that gives you 0.6 repeat. Remember, you can hit Control-C to copy and Control-V to paste. I'm pasting it in my scratch pad. And press menu number fraction. You get 2/3. Okay, so if our original slope is 2/3, then your slope of the perpendicular line would have to be -3/2. And write the coordinates of a set of points, which can be on a line perpendicular to that, containing okay, so these are the 2 of the points, but it just continues. What was the equation of that line? Okay, there's -1/3. So this is y equal 2/3 x minus 1/3. So it did go slightly below there. This point right there is 0, -1/3. And so if I want the line perpendicular at that spot, I can do y minus y1 equal m times x minus x1 and make sure I use -3/2 for my slope. So then I get y minus a -1/3, so y plus 1/3 equal -3/2 x minus 0. And I can get rid of that part right there. So y plus 1/3 equal -3/2 x. And that'll be my answer. So that's one possible one that's perpendicular. I could have had the perpendicular line go through A, and it would have been y minus 3 equal negative 3 halves x minus 5. Or the other one, but that would have been y minus 5 equal negative 3 halves x minus 8. It doesn't matter which of these three you do. I probably did a little extra work by getting my equation and doing this one, but I wanted to show you how to do that. Any questions? Okay. All right, so we'll stop right there. Make sure you do your Math Excel, and now you do the rest of Form K. Make sure you do the ones we didn't do.